Have you ever wondered if your YouTube channel is actually ready to make money? Well, over the last 18 months, I've been helping people launch businesses from their channels, and many have flown, but some didn't do as well. But what that meant was I got a way better idea of what the signs are that you are ready to make big money from your channel. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what they are and how to check them for yourself. But before we get onto that, you first need to work out if your niche can actually make you money in the first place. So to help you establish how profitable your niche is, I want you to check out this triangle. All right, so the width of this triangle represents your audience size, and then down the bottom we have the general audience, which is like massive, and then at the top we have the pointy bit, and that represents more niche channels with like a much smaller audience. The thing is, as you go up this triangle, the audience size becomes more valuable, which means you can charge a lot more to your product or service to a smaller group, and this is how people make money from YouTube with less views. The thing is, as you can see, there are 3 different tiers here that make up this chart, so what you need to do is ask yourself, which one do you fall into? So let me give you an example of each of these tiers with a demo channel that's all about golf, okay? So believe it or not, the biggest audience a golf channel could attract is absolutely everyone. So if their strategy was just to try and attract as many people as possible, they would make a video called Why the World's Best Golfers Always Wear Red. Now, that video could appeal to so many people because it's kind of weird, right? And you're probably thinking to yourself, I wonder why someone would wear red. What will that do? Should I wear red? Even though you maybe don't care about golf at all. Now, a channel built on this type of mass market interest content can't really sell anything that expensive to the viewers though, because those viewers didn't come to them with a problem. They just came because they found it interesting, and solving a problem is how you earn money. So let's move on to the next tier up. Now, in this world, the creator makes a video called 5 Ways to Drive as Far as Rory McIlroy, and their audience could be people who just love playing golf. Now, because people are obsessed with playing golf, we spend a lot of time and money on the hobby. So this tier I call the hobbyist level, and it's for channels who teach hobbyists a skill. It could be painting, music, DJing, golf, kung fu. The list is massive. Now, traditionally, people said these niches were not worth that much money, and all they could really sell is like cheap courses and PDFs. And I kind of used to agree until I started working with more people in it and witnessed them charging from $6,000 to $30,000 to hobbyists for an offer. So this level is still an amazing way to make a living via YouTube. And then we have up here the top of the triangle. And our fake creator in this world would make something called 3 Ways to Train Your Caddy Like Rory McIlroy. That's a really hard thing to say. Can't imagine Rory trains his caddy, or if that's even how it works, but just shut up, golf nerd, stop bashing me in the comments. It doesn't matter. Let me make my point. So this channel is in the top tier because they have a much smaller audience, but think of the impact a video like that could have on someone's life. It could make them win a tournament, and that would then bring them a ton of money, right? So the top of this triangle is usually referred to as the health, wealth, and relationship sector. These are basically channels who deliver info that makes people money, makes them get over pain or live longer or gets them fitter or helps them get like a husband or a wife or works on their mindset. These are kind of like the biggest pain points and problems out there where you don't need massive views to earn a living, because the bigger the problem, the more people will spend to get rid of it. So all you do now is look at this and decide which one are you in. Now, don't panic if you're not in the top. I actually think the gap right now is in the hobbyist section because of all the things that I'm seeing. So don't go telling yourself you can't make this work because you teach people knitting. Trust me, you can. Okay, so now you know how valuable your niche might be. Let's have a look at how to spot some signs that you have a very hot audience who are ready to buy something from you when you decide to promote it. All right, so the first sign is kind of weird, but to me, it's one of the most clear-cut signs, and it works like this. So when I used to post videos to my old channel Film Booth, it always used to crack me up because I'd put a video out and then 10 seconds later, I'd get 4 comments saying first. And then sometimes those people would argue about who was actually first in the comments. And eventually I realized this was actually playing quite a big part in my business growing, because when you get comments like that, it means firstly, people are really excited for your video. If they think they can raise their status simply appearing below your content, it gives you an idea of how much they respect you. And respect was a big part of sales, right? Now, don't worry if this never happens to you. It's not going to happen to a lot of people, especially if your target audience is all over like 60. They're not going to waste the time doing that. But the next thing to look at here really is the comments you get in the first 48 hours of your video's life. Really what you want to be seeing is like a 10%-ish comment to view ratio. The reason for this is because YouTube will generally push your videos to people who have watched you before. So getting a lot of comments is kind of a sign that you have a hot audience of people who keep watching you. And that's what we need to kind of grow a business. However, If you've got like 100 views and 2 comments, yes, it's a 2% ratio, but you do need thousands of views to get a good idea of this. The second sign is this. So when I was blown up on Film With years ago, I used to post a video that was about 10 minutes long, and after 60 seconds, I'd have the same amount of views to likes, which always confused me because I was like, how can you like it? You've not finished it yet. But it became obvious over time that when you have a hot audience, they don't really care what comes out of your mouth. They just want to support you and say thank you for your help over the years, and they do that with an instant like. So if in the first 24 hours you can get around a 10% like to view ratio, that's another sign you have a hot fan base. The next is what I personally think is the most important metric on YouTube. You're most likely going to see this stat associated with all of your best performing videos. Nobody ever really talks about it. And the best example of this would be this video on screen right now. So I posted it, and all of my usual metrics that I track on upload didn't make much sense. And I was like, oh, why is this one doing so well in the first 24 hours in particular? So I went here, and I went in here, and I looked at how many shares it had. And yeah, it was blowing everything else out the window. Whoa. It was blowing everything else away. Now, the book Contagious, if you've never read it, explains why sharing matters so much. And they tell this story about an experiment that established people would rather share something they love with a friend than be paid money not to. Now, the reason this happens is because people want to take the credit for the result of what they've shared. Basically, if they share something epic, it makes them appear smart and interesting or more in the know, which raises their status and enhances their reputation. And they call this social currency. So when your videos are so good, people are like, I have to share this with others. They become this social currency, and these sharing signals, well, they grow your channel, but also they're a sign that your content's so good, people are probably gonna wanna buy something from you. Now, our next sign is really simple. I've always used a rough benchmark of around 3,000 views per video being a sign that you're kind of ready to make money from your audience, because it means you've got a decent sized return viewership there. But before you go, oh goody, you need to listen to the rest of these things, because it's not quite as simple as that. I've learned a lot about launching offers recently, and we need to go a few levels deeper now just to avoid any surprises, which brings us on to our next sign that's a continuation of the last, and it works like this. So if you're in the top 2 tiers of our triangle, you need to think of your audience size as a bucket with a hole in it that's always being topped up slightly by a tap. Because what happens is a large percentage of your audience will be beginners, and they go, I'm going to take up the guitar. And then they get really into it, binge a channel, and then 3 weeks later they quit the guitar and they don't really care about it again, and they don't unsubscribe. And basically what they do is they leak out the bottom of your bucket. So for channels like us, we're always fighting that natural audience drop off of quitters. So to keep an eye on the hole in your bucket, you measure your hot audience data by going here to the audience tab and looking at the 30 to 90 day return viewership. But what's a good amount? Well, actually, just keeping this monthly return viewer the same every month can actually be a really good sign for a business. Why? Well, it's because it means you're replacing the people who naturally quit caring about your niche. So it could mean that you're bringing enough people in who are new to replace those quitters. So you're not standing still. You are kind of growing with new people, or you're meeting new people still. Now, if this number goes up and up and up, that's great. But the goal here for me was always to have that around 10,000 people, because that's a lot of people if they're the right people returning to your content. But recently, after changing my content strategy, that number flew up to like 50,000 plus. So just by posting more, you can bring people in. Anyway, if this number is small or is going backwards, that's probably meaning you don't have a hot enough audience, but maintaining it and growing it is a good sign. Okay, so next we have the boring sign. Absolutely nobody wants to hear, and I only really recently discovered just how important this is when a couple of my clients' launches didn't work out as planned. But after a couple of days distance from it, kind of realized why. So I'm pretty big on saying to them, do not launch a product until you hit these metrics. And I say that a lot. The thing is, these guys, they smashed through all of those metrics. So I was smug. I was like, this is going to be easy. But after a few sleepless nights, it became clear what had happened to them. So to make sales, you need a hot audience. And they'd grown so fast, which blew up their email list. The people on it were not that hot. They'd not really sent them that many emails. So they kind of had a big cold audience because they were sort of new. So this next sign is one nobody likes because it's simply spending more time in the game, which makes sense, right? I mean, who do you trust? The person you've seen on YouTube once or the one that you've been tuning into for years? The thing is, how much time in the game do you need to avoid a situation like this for yourself? Well, not that easy to answer, I'm afraid. And I'm kind of working on figuring this out right now. But I'd probably say the 6 months after blowing up in your niche and continuing to deliver lots of value and bring lots of people back and get people into your email, emailing them and building up a lot of trust, that's going to be a real safe zone for you. So I'd maybe think about that. It's never worth rushing this stuff, which brings me on to the next metric, which is this one. So you see that big old spike? That's link clicks. And the more links people click from below your videos, the more of a sign it it is that they're eager to find something else from you. That can be link clicks to your website, it can be link clicks to your email. Now, the next sign is a continuation of this, but it will play a really critical part in your sales, and it's simply seeing that people are not just clicking your email, but they're signing up and joining it too. Now, if you're not seeing a steady stream of new email subs, it could potentially mean that they're not just that interested in hearing from you, and that's a sign of a cold audience that won't be up for buying anything that you sell. Now, the next is a metric we can track off of YouTube, and it's basically going to tell you how engaged your hottest viewers are. And believe it or not, your hottest fans are not on YouTube. They're the ones who sign up to your email because they want you to send them more stuff. When you're not making videos, give me more. So making sure your open rates are always around 46 to 50% each email is a good thing to do. If you get that, it means they like hearing from you. If you don't, before you panic, just delete everyone who's not open for 6 months and it'll probably naturally shoot up. I cull my list quite a lot. And it keeps it in the sweet spot. Now, the next sign is like someone nailed a flipping neon one to your head, and it's just seeing comments or getting emails from your viewers going, how do I work with you? Help me. Now, if you have nothing to sell and people are trying to buy your time, that really is the ultimate sign. Now, the next is this. I know I've written a powerful email to my list when I wake up and there's 80 replies in my inbox. Replies are a sign you struck a chord with people, because people don't tend to waste their time replying to emails unless they really valued it. And getting replies is also a sign that your content is building up the trust and it's getting really good, which is the name of the game for generating easier sales. After that, this next sign is more relevant for those of you who already have an offer, and that is, let's say you have a low ticket thing or one-to-one calls and they're just selling out fast and you have a wait list and everything's going well. That's generally just a sign that you can sell something bigger. But what if you're not seeing these signs, or many of them? These things happen when your content is so good, people go, how do I work with that person? So if you're rushing videos out, if you're regurgitating a blog post, if you're not great on camera, if your strategy is not great, if you don't really understand your audience and you haven't got to grips with storytelling, then you're probably not going to be in a position where you should expect to see that yet. However, regular practice will get you there, as well as time in the game. Now, if you want to learn how to make videos that do everything I've just said, watch this video next. I'll break it down step by step for you.